Howdy, hello, hey, it's me. It's Zachu, or Zachu FPS, or Zachu VGC, depending on where you know me from. There's a very good reason this FPS is two of my handles on social media. What is that? My OBS is picking up a background noise right now, or like background audio. I don't know what it's coming from. I'm not in a call, am I? No. What is it coming from? Oh, sorry, hold on. I don't know what it's coming from. Oh, there it is. Anyways, so yeah, there's a very good reason that I have FPS as two of my handles, even though I do Pokemon VGC content. We'll have that story on a later date. Now, I've been gone for the last few days, and it's been very inconsistent over the last few weeks. Had a lot of things going on, like in my personal life, that have made it so I can't record every day. In fact, like most days, I'm not even home. However, I think everything should be like taken care of and good to go, and back to normal in my life. So I will be home, I can record every day, and as far as this team building goes, as you can see, I've got like 5 days here, maybe 6. I should be able to post these day after day after day after day, right? Maybe even double uploads, but I think if I'm doing double uploads, I'm going to do double uploads of something else. That being said, we're talking about team building today. It's something I've talked about doing for a while. This is really weird, I'm sorry. Something I've talked about doing for a while. Again, I just haven't actually had the time to sit down and actually record these. These are just notes that I'm going to kind of go by. It's not an actual script, it's just notes. So today we're going to talk about the intro to team building. I'm just going to take you through like my process, kind of explain my process as I go. And then in day 2, 3, and 4, we'll dive deeper into like, hyper offense, balance, bulky offense, the 3 like major team types or team comps, archetypes, whichever. Day 5, we'll talk about win-con teams, which aren't necessarily their own team archetype in themselves, but it has enough differences from the other 3 to warrant its own video. And if I can find something that'll warrant a day 6, I will talk about it. If not, then it'll just be a 5-part series. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is proactivity versus reactivity. Also, if I like trail off and like look like I'm thinking hard on something, I'm very tired. I didn't fall asleep until like 8 a.m. and then I had maintenance guys banging on my door at like 10 a.m. You can kind of see I have like dark circles under my eyes. I'm very tired. I am surviving off of like eggs and my overpriced friends at Starbucks. So anyways, proactivity versus reactivity is very important for team building. And it's not a very complex concept, but it's like, it goes deeper than how I'm going to explain it, but I'm going to explain it in very simple terms. Because again, this is just an intro. Basically, you can think of team building as a question. Are you asking the question or are you answering the question? The reason this is important is because like, if you have a proactive team, you're asking your opponent the question. You're making your opponent respond to what you're doing. If you have a reactive team, your opponent is asking you the question and you have to answer. But if they ask you the question that they're not expecting to, if they lead Pokemon that you're not expecting them to lead, and you have a reactive team, then you will probably just lose. If you have a proactive team and you lead something that your opponent isn't expecting you to lead, you probably win the game, right? Excuse me. So that's kind of where proactivity versus reactivity comes in. In general, it is better to be proactive, again, because it makes your opponent have to respond to what you're doing as opposed to responding to what your opponent is doing. There are times when like a reactive team is a better archetype to use. Obviously, most notably like 2016, I didn't play, don't quote me on this. This is just from what I've watched. A reactive team did better in 2016. It literally won the world championships. At least, okay, from this explanation of it, I consider it a reactive team. It may not have been, I didn't make the team, Wolfglick did. In 2022, it may have also been better to be reactive if somebody could have figured out how to do it, because in 2022, there were also 3 major team archetypes, right? I did play in 2022. The 3 major archetypes were Rinyasun, Calyrex, and Kyogre. If someone could have made a reactive team type that beats all 3 of those, I'm sure they would have. Actually, there may have been. No, there wasn't. I did it, actually. It was Calyrex Rayquaza. It was really funny. I'll talk more about that later. But, ooh. Okay, I hit my mic. I hope everything's okay. If this thing falls and I cut the video and have to come back later, then, yeah, you get the point. So, as far as proactive teams go, that was weird. As far as proactive teams go, you have Tailwind, Trick Room, Weather, and Tail Room, right? Tailwind involves setting up Tailwind and outspeeding and OHKOing your opponent. Trick Room involves setting up Trick Room, technically underspeeding, but outspeeding under Trick Room and killing your opponent. Weather involves playing around weather to either cover for weaknesses or boost speed or boost stats, so on and so forth. And then there's Tail Room, which is giving your opponent a 50-50 in team preview and saying, okay, you have to guess if I'm going to lead with Trick Room or if I'm going to lead with Tailwind. And if they guess wrong, then you probably win the match on turn 0. Turn 0, for reference, is like team preview. I think it's more universally recognized as like turn 0. I call it turn 0. I very rarely call it team preview. So yeah, I will always reference team preview as turn 0 from now on. But this Tail Room, which is very effective, it's hard to get used to at first because you also have to have like it's a certain like 50-50 on your part as well. Like you have to kind of understand that, are they going to predict me to lead Trick Room or are they going to predict me to lead Tailwind, right? And that just comes at understanding your team and understanding your opponent's team. Something I definitely want to talk about, I don't know why it's down here, is metagame relevance. Because, yes, I can very easily make a team. Oh, now I know why it's down there. So, something I'll talk about a lot too is proactive Pokemon with reactive techs. Okay. The reason that's important is because, like, you can build proactive teams but have reactive techs on them, so that while your opponent is doing things, if your opponent is also playing proactively, you have your proactive team that is still able to answer them, right? So the first thing when I'm team building, the first thing I always ask myself is like, what do I want the team to do? What do I want the team to do? Now that I realize why this is down there, I'm actually gonna move it. Oh, I almost had it. So for this case, because it's very like beginner friendly, I want the team to set up Tailwind, and I want some setup and redirection on there. So when we look at Tailwind, that's Tailwind. When we look at Tailwind, obviously there's a lot of setters on Tailwind. Like, however, this is where metagame relevance comes in. Would you ever use Luminion to set up Tailwind? The answer is no. Some very good Tailwind setters, I would say, in this part of the metagame specifically. Corviknight is very good, very bulky. You're almost always getting Trick Room with Corviknight unless you get taunted. Hydreigon has been starting to pick up as a Tailwind setter. Noivern is okay, I don't recommend it. Where is it? Talonflame is really good because it has priority with Gale Wings. Priority Tailwind is very good because of dynamic speed, which basically means that when a speed change occurs in the turn, it takes effect immediately as opposed to the following turn, which was what it was in Gen 7 and everything prior. Pelipper is also really good, more on rain teams, which is why I'll be foregoing it for now. Like I said, Talonflame is good. Volcarona is okay as a Trick Room setter. I feel like it is better as an attacker, but I can see the support sets. And then there's Murkrow. For the sake of it, we're going to be using Murkrow today because I already kind of have an idea played out in my head. So there's Murkrow. And again, because this is my Mon, we're using Tailwind. That's Tail Glove. So we have Tailwinds. Now this is where metagame relevance comes into play, right? Obviously Murkrow is the third most used Pokemon. We'll talk about that in a minute. There we go. So of these top 10 Mons, right? Goldengo is beat by Dark types. Garchomp is beat by Dragon. Murkrow is neutral to Dragon. Amoonguss is neutral to Dragon. Annihilape is neutral to Dragon. Armarouge is weak to Dark. Hydreigon is weak to Dragon. Grimmsnarl actually resists both of those. Arcanine is neutral to Dragon, and Indeedee is weak to Dark. So of the top 10 Pokemon, there's only one Pokemon that Dragon or Dark cannot hit for at least neutral. What Pokemon is Dragon and Dark? Hello. So we'll put Hydreigon on the team, right? Now, in this case, I wouldn't use Choice Scarf Hydreigon, right? This is just what I want the team to do. I want the team to have Tailwind Murkrow and Choice Scarf Hydreigon. This is actually usually the hardest part of team building is what do I want the team to do? How do I build a new team without recycling old ideas from the past that I've already used? So that's what I want the team to do. I also want Hydreigon to have Draco Meteor. I like to increase damage over Dragon Pulse. You can run Dragon Pulse and Draco Meteor on the set if you want to. The other move is Dark Pulse. We'll worry about the coverage moves when I get to that point. Also, for the sake of what I want the team to do, I want this to be Terra Dragon. What I want to do in this team is to click Tailwind on turn 1. Oh, this needs to be Prankster as well. I want to click Tailwind on turn 1, and I want to Terra Dragon and Draco Meteor and Oko something. Cool, that's what I wanted to do. Now, something that has actually like fallen off a lot is Tatsu Dondozo. It's all the way down here. Dondozo, right? So this is where this reactive text on proactive Pokemon comes in. We're going to put Haze on Murkrow, because this counters Tatsugiri Dondozo. We're also going to put Taunt. Well, we'll put Taunt on that, but no, we'll worry about that for later. Okay, so Draco Meteor Dark Pulse, right? The idea is you can click Tailwind, Terra Dragon, and Draco Meteor on turn 1. And then when your special attack is lowered, you can click Haze, and then click Draco Meteor again. Now this is great because your Hydreigon is a Choice Scarf, so even if your opponent sets up Tailwind, you are still faster than the opposing Garchomp. That's actually the only, and you're faster than their opposing Hydreigon, provided that their Hydreigon is not Choice Scarf, right? So, that's what I want the team to do. That's step 1 of what I want the team to do. Now, obviously, the next part is, okay, I have 2 Pokemon, what are they weak to, and how can I beat it? Murkrow is weak to Rock, Electric, and Ice, and Fairy. Okay, barring the Electric weakness, we'll talk about the Rock, the Fairy, and the Ice weakness. Hydreigon is weak to Ice, it is weak to Dragon, and it is weak to Fairy. There is one type that can resist all 4 of those, and it is Steel. And arguably, or unarguably I guess, the best Steel type in the format is Goldengo, the Cheese Stick Man. If you didn't watch the Goldengo video, I highly recommend watching the Goldengo video. We'll worry about the item later. And to beat the Rock and the Ice and the Fairy type Pokemon, you can use a Steel type move. As far as your Dragon type check goes, hello. As for that, the other move will just, again, stabs. Now, I also said, right, I wanted the team to have setup and redirection. That's the other thing I want the team to do. And so the other thing that this Pokemon is going to do is have setup, and then I'm going to have my redirection. Now, your redirection mons this gen are either Rage Powder or Follow Me. I wish there was a way I could do ors, but maybe there is, and I just don't know. But your Rage Powder mons in general, this is where metagame relevance comes into play. Yes, I could use Rage Powder Venomoth. There are Pokemon that do this better. If I wanted to use Rage Powder, I would use Amoonguss or maybe Volcarona. However, I want to use Follow Me, which means I'm left with basically either Indeedee or Mousehold. Sorry. We're going to use Indeedee, and we're going to put Psychic Surge on this so I can be immune to priority, right? Being immune to priority, especially in like early metagames, is very useful. As for the moves, I run the same moves on Indeedee. Protect, Follow Me for the redirection, Helping Hand for the burst damage, and then in this gen, I'm putting Hyper Voice. In previous gens, I was able to put Expanding Force, but it doesn't get Expanding Force anymore. I'm also going to make my Terra normal here. I have no reason not to. I know people have been running like Dazzling Gleam Terra Fairy, but I'm going to run Hyper Voice Terra normal because I want to. So that's my redirection plus setup. Now, in general, your generic, very generic team comps are going to be 2 physical attackers, 2 special attackers, 2 support Pokemon. Well, we've got 2 support Pokemon, we've got 2 special attackers. For the sake of this video and for the sake of this team, I am going to stray from that because there's something better. Now, if we look at the top Pokemon in the metagame, we have 2 Dragon types, we have 2 Dark types, and even in 11th place is another Dark type, right? All of these Pokemon are weak to Fairy. So, let's put a Fairy type on the team. That looked weird. Okay, never mind. Let's put a Fairy type on the team. As far as Fairy type goes, we can use Azu, which also fits the setup redirection part of the team. Doxman isn't good, Dedenne isn't good, Florges isn't good, Fluttermane isn't usable, Gardevoir could be used, Grimmsnarl is a support Pokemon, Hatterene could be used, Klefki is a support Pokemon, Mimikyu. I understand why people use Mimikyu, I think it's bad. I think it's a bad Pokemon. Every time I've played against the Mimikyu, I've won, because it just doesn't do anything after like the first 2 turns. Screamtail isn't usable, I don't like Tinkaton either, I understand why people use Tinkaton, I think it's a decent Mon, I'm not using it. Wigglytuff is bad. Now, again, like I said, I'm straying from the 2 physical attacker part of this team, but I'm using Sylveon. Sylveon in most cases will run Threat Spray. It will always run Pixelate, Protect, and Hyper Voice, right? This is on every single Sylveon set you will ever see. I think if you look, like, who isn't running Hyper Voice Sylveon? I'm so confused. That's so weird. Anyways, so that's the other things I want this Pokemon to do, right? Now I look, okay, I have 3 special attackers and 2 support Pokemon. I am very weak to Light Screen and Snarl. So how can I be less weak to that? Well, it'd be a physical attacker, right? There's a lot of options I have for physical attackers. Yes, I could run Garchomp. I could run Annihilate. I could technically run Arcanine. I could run Meowscarada. However, I don't want to run Meowscarada or Garchomp here, right? Because I already have 2 Pokemon that are weak to Fairy. And a Steel type. Oh, that was a very bad thing to say. Because it's going to, having 2 Pokemon that are weak to Fairy is going to directly contradict exactly what I'm going to say next. Whatever. I could go Garchomp. I could go Annihilate. I could go Meowscarada. I could go.
Huh. They look different online.
The hell? Anyways, was that a Picolytics ad? Oh, I'm so confused. Oh, why did it? Okay, whatever. Anyways. Yeah, so the physical Pokemon that I want that also fits the setup strat is Dragonite, right? Now you see why it's saying, like, Fairy was bad. Also, if you guys heard that ad, don't mind me. So, Dragonite. The Dragonite's basically around 2 sets at this point in time in the metagame. There's the Choice Band Terra Normal E-Speed Killer. Do I have this, all of my Terras correct? Yeah. There's the Choice Band Extreme Speed Terra Normal E-Speed Killer, basically. Or there's the set that I run. I think I might be the only person running this, but the Terra Steel Booster set. And since redirection and setup is what I want to use here, we're going to do that. Now, most people run Inner Focus because it makes you immune to Intimidate and Flinching. I'm running Multi-Scale, I think it's better. It's, like, in this metagame specifically, I think it's better. With Clear Amulet especially, like, I don't really see the need for Inner Focus. With Protect, I can avoid Flinching, and with Clear Amulet, I avoid Intimidate and Speed Drops. So we'll put Iron Head on here, we'll put Earthquake on here, and then we'll put Dragon Dance. This is just a set I've been running. It's very splashable. We're gonna make this thing Terra Steel as well. The reason we're making this Terra Steel is because, yes, we have 3 Pokemon that are weak to Fairy. However, with 2 Steel types, potentially, and especially because we're going Terra Dragon here, and I'm never running Terra on Murkrow, I go Terra Steel, and now I only have 2 Pokemon that are weak to Fairy. I'm also not bringing Dragonite to every matchup. I'm bringing Dragonite to the Dragonite. Whew, I'm bringing Dragonite to the matches that I think it is good in. There we go. That's kind of my team. And then the next thing that I talk about, right, we skipped a bunch of moves. So now we're going to go and fill the rest of these moves and items, right? Murkrow, I like Focus Sash on Murkrow. I've run, oops, not banned. I've run Sash, I've run Eviolite on Murkrow. Again, it's just a preference thing. I prefer Focus Sash, I've got more use out of it. Now, the one thing that I don't quite have yet is a way to hit Amoonguss. Where'd it go? Amoonguss. However, if I run Taunt on Murkrow, I have effectively countered Amoonguss. Amoonguss goes for Protect, it goes for Rage Powder, it goes for Spore, it goes for usually Clear Smog or like Clear Smog, Pollen Puff, Sludge Bomb. It is now limited to an offensive move off of a non-offensive stat. And then we'll put Foul Play on here because I don't want to invest in Murkrow's defenses. Normally, in early metagame, it's not worth worrying about the EVs. It's not, I'm sorry. So, what we can do, right, yes, your EVs are important, but like, in early metagame, it's not worth calcing anything. This is a set that I made a while ago, like an EV spread that I made a while ago. I don't remember what this does. I will be completely honest, I don't know. I don't know what these EVs do, I don't know what it lives, I don't know what it doesn't live. I just know it sits there. Hydreigon, now, we don't have a fire type move on the team, so we can run Heat Wave or Flamethrower, right? I'm gonna run Heat Wave because I like spread. Spread type damage, and yeah, I like spread type damage. Is Flamethrower 10? Yeah, it's 10. So the reason I'm also running Heat Wave is because I have a 10% chance to burn both Pokemon. Yes, I have Inaccuracy. Whereas so I have a 10% chance to burn either Pokemon, whereas Flamethrower is a 10% chance to burn one Pokemon, right? So technically my odds of getting a burn with Heat Wave are higher. Maybe not, I'm not sure. The other move I can run, and because I'm not bringing Dragonite to every matchup, is a ground type move, right? So we'll put Earth Power on this. And then I don't need to run Flash Cannon. I could run Flash Cannon, but I don't need to run Flash Cannon on this Pokemon because I have Make It Rain Goldango, who will be pretty much coming to every match. Especially on Scarf Pokemon, 252, 252, 4 is a perfectly fine spread. Goldango, I'm going to put a Life Orb on because I want the extra damage, and I'm not running Specs. I can't run Specs, I'm running Nasty Plot. Make It Rain, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Protect. I know, like, lately a lot of people have been foregoing Protect in exchange for, like, moves that just do something. You could run Dazzling Gleam. Again, I talked about this a lot in the Goldango video. This Pokemon has a lot of flexibility in the moves it's going to run. I'm just going to run this. In DD, I'm going to put Safety Goggles on. Now, I have two ways to essentially beat Amoonguss. I can Taunt it. I can Heat Wave it. I have three ways. I can Taunt it, I can Heat Wave it, and I can redirect its spores into my Safety Goggles and not fall asleep, right? As far as the DD set, again, EVs aren't necessarily important early metagame. They just need to do something rather than nothing. Oops. Nope. Again, I don't remember what these EVs do. I've been using them since like early 2022. What the heck? Anyways, I've been using this set since early 2022. I don't remember what it does. I don't even know what it does in this metagame. It might not even live Dark Pulse from Hydreigon. I don't think it does. However, again, it's not important. The only EVs that are necessarily important at this point in time... Oh, I need to get the moves. So the other moves that I'm going to run is Yawn, which is a reactive tech on my proactive Pokemon. Technically, is that a proactive tech on a reactive Pokemon? Either way, you get the point. Yawn allows me a better matchup into Trick Room because I can just Yawn the Pokemon as I'm setting up Trick Room. And then like double Protect or Yawn with Assault the next turn. Now the next move is Quick Attack. Now Quick Attack alongside Psychic Terrain is maybe not all that great. However, I'm using this as like a way to clean up in the end game as opposed to actually relying on this for damage. Next is... So the only EVs that are necessarily important in early metagame is speed. Now I know that Garchomp hits 169 speed stat. So under Tailwind, to outspeed Garchomp, I would need to hit 85 speed. Perfect, that's my 85 speed. I'm going to run Max Attack because I want this to do damage, or Max Special Attack because I want it to do damage. Max HP, minus Attack. And for the sake of it, like, I'm going to go over this now. You can run Max HP. It is technically optimal to take 1 point out of your HP and put them into your defenses because at the sacrifice of 1 point here, you gain 2 points elsewhere. So you have a net +1 by doing this. It doesn't make a difference in like any calc I've ever seen. However, I want the color, thank you. It doesn't make a difference in any calc I've ever seen, but it is technically optimal, right? Next is Dragonite. Again, I don't know what this set does. Oops. I know that this set at +1 outspeeds Dragon Bolt. I know at +2 it outspeeds most Pokemon that have Choice Scarfs, like under Tailwind, or +2 because I have Dragon Dance. At one point in time, I was running less attack and more HP, and then I decided, you know what, I want to do more damage with this Pokemon. I was missing KOs by like 3 or 4%, so I decided to run more attack. I don't know what these stats do. I don't know what I survive. I don't know what I die from. So yeah, that's kind of my team building process. Again, this is a very quick, like, very basic generic rundown of it, and I'll go more in depth on how to do hyper offense, balance, and bulky offense at a later date. This is just kind of my very generic, like, how to build a team. This is what goes through my mind when I'm building a team. So yeah. Ooh, geez, 241. That's insane. This is just my generic process of building a team. Oh, we need that too. Again, like, a lot of things I can go into more detail on at later dates. Like, I will probably talk about like proactivity versus reactivity. Like, sorry, I will talk about proactivity versus reactivity like more at a later date. It is not an advanced concept necessarily, but it's a concept that needs to be talked about. And I'll talk about like the generic team comp, when you can stray from it, when you shouldn't stray from it, and then I'll talk about the different types of hyper offense, different types of balance, different types of bulky offense, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think that's about all I got. I actually managed to keep this under half an hour. I thought I was going to go for like 45 minutes. So being under half an hour is actually really good for me. I'm actually like just barely over 25 minutes at this point in time. So yeah, that's actually about all I got. Let me know in the future, like something I might do in the future is like building teams around specific Pokemon. I may even do that after these 5, like that might be day 6, how to build around specific Pokemon. So if building around specific Pokemon is something you'd be interested in seeing in the future, let me know and drop some Pokemon suggestions that I could build around in the future. That's about all I got. I might go record like part 2 right now. I might wait. I'm not sure. But yeah, again, make sure to leave a like on the video. And again, if Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, competitive Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is something you enjoy, again, I would really appreciate it if you consider subscribing. But that's all I got. So have a good rest of your day, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you're watching this, or whenever you're watching this. And peace.